Just when we thought we'd heard it all about Foolio's murder, a new video just dropped and it's changing everything. This ain't just any footage. It's putting these suspects in a tighter chokehold than ever. One of them's already on the run, another one's folded and snitching, and whispers about younging Ace's mysterious role in this whole mess keeps getting louder with this new evidence in the streets talking. It looks like Foolio's killers are closer to meeting their fate than they ever thought. New footage condemns Foolio's killers. The mystery surrounding the tragic murder of Florida rapper Julio has taken a dark and revealing turn. On June 23rd, the 26-year-old rapper born Charles Jones was shot and killed outside a Holiday Inn in Tampa while celebrating his birthday. The crime shocked fans and sent waves through the hip-hop community. But now, with the release of the full surveillance video, a new layer of horror has emerged. In a press conference days after the incident, Tampa police revealed the full extent of the brutal and premeditated attack that took Foolio's life. You can see the shooters getting into position for the planned-out murder, a police representative XP explained while narrating the footage, which shows three suspects strategically moving into place before unleashing a hail of gunfire on the unsuspecting rapper. The video, which follows the movements of the assailant as they ambush Foolio in the parking lot, paints a chilling picture of a cold-blooded murder plot. Just weeks after the murder, a leaked clip from the surveillance footage had surfaced online via TMZ showing one of the suspects firing an assault rifle into Foolio's vehicle. While the brief clip stirred outrage, the release of the full video confirmed what many had feared. Foolio's death was the result of a meticulously orchestrated setup. It's clear from that video what they were set out to do and what they had planned to do, the police officer reiterated, underscoring the premeditated nature of the attack. As the investigation unfolded, three suspects were apprehended in connection with Foolio's murder. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office JSO arrested 18-year-old Sean Jeet, 21-year-old Alicia Andrews, and 21-year-old Isaiah Chance Jr. Body cam footage from the arrest was shared by JSO on social media, adding to the already mounting evidence against the trio. Saturday afternoon, JSO SWAT CPR and gang unit members located and arrested Sean Jeet, Alicia Andrews, and Isaiah Chance Jr., read the JSO post on X, formerly known as Twitter. All three suspects were promptly taken into custody, and their involvement in the deadly plot became more apparent with each passing day. Two additional suspects were identified as participants in the murder, Rashad Murphy and his brother Davian Murphy. While Rashad was arrested after a tea standoff in Jacksonville, Davian remains at large. Police believe Davian, 27, was also involved in the murder, with surveillance footage showing him wearing an orange ski mask and firing at Foolio's car from a distance. Authorities are urging the public to come forward with any information about his whereabouts, as Davian has a long criminal history, including convictions for aggravated assault and firearm possession in court. The chilling footage was only one part of a larger narrative painting the suspects in a damning light. All three suspects, Gate Andrews and Chance, pleaded not guilty to murder charges during their arrest arraignment in Tampa. However, the atmosphere in the courtroom revealed something far more sinister. Rather than showing any remorse for their alleged role in the murder, the suspects appeared relaxed and indifferent to the gravity of their situation. Isaiah Chance, also known as Gaz, was even seen bobbing his head to the infamous diss track "Who I Smoke" by Foolio's rival Young and Ace. Meanwhile, Alicia Andrews was caught joking with her lawyer during the proceedings, reinforcing the cold-heartedness behind the crime. This behavior has only fueled public outrage and reinforced the prosecution's determination to seek the harshest penalties. On Monday, Florida prosecutors made their intentions clear. They will seek the death penalty for Gathright Chance and Rashad Murphy if convicted. The announcement, made during a press conference, highlighted the severity of the charges against the suspects. All three face counts of premeditated first-degree murder with a firearm, as well as conspiracy to commit murder. Prosecutors explained that under Florida law, anyone involved in the planning of a murder could be held accountable for the victim's death, even if they didn't pull the trigger. This legal doctrine ensures that all five suspects, including Davian Murphy, will be tried for the murder of Foolio, regardless of their specific role in the shooting. Alicia Andrews, who was accused of conspiracy to commit premeditated murder, was notably absent from the state's death penalty notice, but her role in the crime remains significant. Along with the others, she faces a potential life sentence without parole. The evidence against the suspects is mounting, and the prosecution has laid out a compelling case of premeditation under Florida law. Premeditated murder involves a conscious decision to kill made in advance of the act. The timeline for this premeditated intent need not be long. It merely requires sufficient time for reflection before the act of murder is carried out. In Foolio's case, the surveillance footage captures the suspects methodically taking their positions around the parking lot, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Their actions leave little doubt that the crime was deliberate, planned, and executed with ruthless efficiency. Had the suspects shown remorse or acknowledged the severity of their crime, they might have avoided facing the death penalty. But their callous attitudes, both during the murder and in court, have likely sealed their fate. Florida's legal system reserves the death penalty for the most heinous crimes, and it seems increasingly likely that the suspects' nonchalant behavior will play a role in their sentencing. As the case against the suspects builds momentum, one crucial figure remains at large: 27-year-old Davin Murphy. Despite the efforts of law enforcement, Davin has managed to evade capture for more than 2 months, fueling speculation that he may have fled Jacksonville or even changed his appearance to avoid detection. With a long rap sheet and history of violent crimes, Devin is considered armed and dangerous. Authorities are urging anyone with information about his whereabouts to come forward, as they believe he played a significant role in Foolio's murder. Tampa police remain dedicated to capturing Davin and bringing him to justice. As a documented member of the 1200 gang, Davin has been involved in violent feud with Foolio's 6-block gang, making his involvement in the murder both personal and premeditated. While Davin remains on the run, Alicia Andrews, one of the few female suspects in the case, has taken a different approach. Sources close to the investigation have revealed that Andrews is cooperating with law enforcement, and it appears she is willing to snitch on her co-conspirators in exchange for leniency. According to reports, Andrews has already started shifting blame onto the other suspects, casting herself as a victim of circumstance. Whether this strategy will work remains to be seen, but it's clear that Andrews is doing whatever she can to avoid the harshest possible punishment. Alicia Andrews tries to find a way out in the aftermath of the chilling murder of Florida rapper Julio Foolio. Alicia Andrews has been thrust into the center of one of the most high-profile criminal cases of the year. While the brutal killing stunned the hip-hop community, the ensuing investigation has painted a picture of calculated violence. As the case progresses, Alicia Andrews, one of the 5 individuals charged in connection with the murder, is now seeking a way out by attempting to distance herself from the crime and shift the blame onto her co-conspirators, particularly her boyfriend Shaw Gate. From the onset, Alicia Andrews has been a key figure in the murder investigation of Julio Foolio. Alongside her ending Isaiah Chance, her boyfriend at the time, Shaw Gathright, and Rashad Murphy, Andrews was implicated in the premeditated ambush that resulted in Foolio's tragic death. Surveillance footage and phone records have placed her at multiple locations on the night of the murder, following Foolio and his entourage to 2 nightclubs before the final ambush at a Holiday Inn parking lot in Tampa. Investigators determined that Andrews was not merely an accessory, but an active participant in the crime. Using her phone, Andrews allegedly helped coordinate communication between her boyfriend Gathright and the other suspects as they stalked Foolio across multiple locations. Her vehicle was also used in the operation, with Andrews seen on video surveillance at key moments leading up to the murder. She was present at the scene of the crime, making it impossible for her to claim complete ignorance of the events that transpired. Yet, despite the mounting evidence against her, Andrews is now trying to change the narrative, painting herself as a victim rather than a perpetrator. Her legal team has filed motions seeking to shift blame onto her co-defendants, particularly emphasizing the abusive relationship she had with Gathright, a dynamic they argue coerced her into participating in the crime. In a recent court filing, Alicia Andrews' defense team unveiled their strategy to shift blame away from their client by introducing claims of domestic abuse. They argue that Andrew's relationship with Gate was marked by emotional and physical manipulation, leaving her with little agency or ability to resist his demands. According to the defense, Gathwright's control over Andrews extended to the night of the murder, where he allegedly coerced her into aiding in the crime. The defense has emphasized the fact that this abusive relationship was known to law enforcement but was not fully investigated. They contend that this dynamic was crucial to understanding Andrews' involvement in the crime, and that without fully exploring the impact of this abuse on her actions, the prosecution's case is one-sided. The defense team has argued that Andrews' role in the murder may have been the result of fear and coercion, rather than willing participation in the plot. These claims have added a new layer of complexity to the case as the defense attempts to portray Andrews as a pawn in a much larger and more violent scheme, or orchestrated by her co-defendants. If the court buys into this narrative, it could potentially lessen her sentence or even exonerate her from the most serious charges. However, Alicia Andrews' attempts to shift blame and portray herself as a victim of circumstance are complicated by her own history of lies and inconsistencies. From the moment of her arrest, Andrews has been less than forthcoming with law enforcement. During her post-Miranda interview, she repeatedly lied about her whereabouts on the night of the murder and downplayed her role in the events leading up to Foolio's death. At first, Andrews claimed that she and Chance were merely out looking to party and had visited the two nightclubs, Teasers and Truth 18, with no ill intent. She said they had approached the club's entrances to ask about admission fees, but surveillance footage later debunked this claim. Andrews then tried to explain away her presence at the murder scene, claiming that she and Chance were lost and had accidentally turned into the parking lot where Foolio and his entourage were located. This excuse was also quickly proven false, as investigators uncovered evidence that Andrews and Chance had been tailing Foolio for hours before the final ambush. Despite these lies, Andrews admitted to certain key details during her interview. She acknowledged that she had allowed Chance to use her phone to communicate with Gathwright, and she admitted that she and Chance were in the vicinity of the crime scene at the time of the murder. These admissions, coupled with the surveillance footage and phone records, have made it difficult for Andrews to convincingly portray herself as an innocent bystander. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Andrews' defense team has adopted a strategy of casting doubt on the prosecution's case by highlighting potential investigative failures and introducing alternative narratives. One of their primary arguments is that law enforcement did not adequately investigate other potential suspects who were with Foolio on the night of the murder. The defense claims that several of Foolio's companions had violent criminal histories, were carrying weapons at the time of the shooting, yet police failed to thoroughly interrogate these individuals. The defense also pointed to inconsistencies in the statements of Foolio's companions, arguing that these discrepancies were ignored by law enforcement in their rush to build a case against Andrews and her co-defendants. According to the defense, this failure to follow up on alternative leads has resulted in a skewed narrative that unfairly places the blame on Andrews and her co-conspirators while allowing other potential suspects to evade scrutiny in their court filings. Andrews' legal team invoked the U.S. Supreme Court case Kise v. Whitley to argue that the prosecution has a duty to discover and disclose any evidence that might be favorable to the defendant. They contend that the police's failure to investigate other individuals who may have had motive to kill Foolio constitutes a scientific and omission that could weaken the case against Andrews. By raising these points, the defense hopes to create reasonable doubt in the minds of jurors and open the door for a potential acquittal or reduced sentence for Andrews. However, this strategy also risks alienating the jury if it comes across as a desperate attempt to deflect responsibility. Despite the defense's best efforts, Alicia Andrews faces an uphill battle. The prosecution's case against her is strong, and the evidence linking her to the murder is substantial. Her lies and inconsistent statements have already damaged her credibility, and her attempts to shift blame onto her co-defendants may not be enough to sway the court. The state of Florida has already announced its intention to seek the death penalty for several of Andrews' co-defendants, including Gathwright, Chance, and Rashad Murphy. While Andrews herself has not been named in the death penalty notice, she still faces the possibility of life in prison without the possibility of parole, if convicted of first-degree murder. As the trial date approaches, Andrews' legal team will need to present a compelling case to convince the jury that she was merely a victim of circumstance, rather than an active participant in Foolio's murder. Whether or not they can successfully make that case remains to be seen, and what could be her final attempt to avoid a life sentence. Alicia Andrews may be considering a controversial tactic, snitching. According to rumors swirling around the case, Andrews is prepared to provide damning testimony against her co-defendants in exchange for a reduced sentence. This move would not only signal her desperation to escape the harshest penalties, but also further complicate the legal dynamics of the case. If Andrews turns on her former ease, it could potentially shift the balance of power in the courtroom, offering the prosecution valuable insider information that could strengthen their case against the other defendants as the legal proceedings unfold. All eyes will be on Andrews to see whether she takes the stand against her co-conspirators, and whether her cooperation will be enough to save her from spending the rest of her life behind bars because, from the look of things, the cops might be needing information about a man who is rumored to have orchestrated the whole murder, Youngin Ace. The question of Youngin Ace's involvement remains since Julio Foolio's murder hit the news. One name has surfaced repeatedly: Youngin Ace. The rivalry between the two rappers had fueled Jacksonville's drill scene for years, leading to violent confrontations and multiple losses. With Foolio's death on his 26th birthday, speculation and suspicion have naturally turned toward Ace. His recent actions, cryptic statements, and suggestive lyrics have only added to the public's questions, leaving many to wonder if Foolio's murder was a targeted hit orchestrated by Ace, or simply the deadly escalation of their long-running feud. Adding fuel to the fire is the viral video of an unidentified man masked and disguised claiming responsibility for Foolio's murder. The masked man, wearing an orange beanie and concealing his face, insisted that he was the one who smacked Foolio on his birthday night, carrying out the hit supposedly ordered by Young Gene Ace. In the clip, the man claimed that Ace had paid him $10,000 to kill Fio, stating,